My name is Doreen, and today I'd like to talk to you about becoming a long-term care RD. The objectives are to describe best practices for an RDN in a long-term care setting and to differentiate between the daily routine of a long-term care consultant RDN and a long-term care staff RDN. Working in a skilled facility is different than a hospital due to the residents having a longer stay. The average hospital stay is 7 days or less, whereas in long-term care, it could be anywhere from days to the rest of their life. We look at waits over 30, 90, and 180 days to see if there are any significant changes. There's less flexibility regarding food in a skilled facility. The best example that I can give you is with supplements. Many long-term care facilities have only one diabetic, one regular, one renal, and one clear liquid supplement, whereas in a hospital, there's a larger variety. In a skilled facility, diets are liberalized more so than a hospital. When people come into the hospital, they might be in the acute stage of their illness, and they may need a stricter diet at that time. However, as they transition to the nursing home, we are able to liberalize their diets a little more in efforts to increase their meal intake. You could be a staff RD or a consultant RD in a long-term care facility. A consultant needs to pay their own malpractice insurance, but receives a higher pay and there's more flexibility. They don't have taxes taken out of their paycheck or receive benefits. If you're on staff, you have taxes taken out of your paycheck and you do receive facility benefits. A staff RD is either full or part-time. I had a full-time job with one company, but I worked at 2 different buildings. I had one building with 115 beds and a lot of short-term rehab patients, which meant more nutrition assessments, care plans, and meetings. I needed 24 hours to do that building each week. The other job was 150 beds, but less short-term rehab patients. I could easily do that building in 16 hours per week. Of course, the number of hours depends on what the facility would like you to do. In the next slide, I'm going to show you some dietitian tasks. Most facilities tend to have their dietitians do the same thing if you are on staff. However, you might see some changes at different places that you work at. But generally, an on-staff dietitian is going to be responsible for completing nutrition admission assessments, charting weight changes, charting wounds, completing quarterly reviews and annual assessments, doing sanitation rounds at least once a month, attending the weight and wound meeting, completing in-servicing or giving in-services, completing the MDS, attending morning report and care plan meetings, and conducting meal rounds. The consultant has less tasks than the on-staff dietitian simply because the consultant gets paid more, so the facility keeps the work to a minimum. Consultants are responsible for new admission assessments, charting weight changes, charting wounds, completing some annual assessments. Some of the facilities that I work at have the certified dietary manager do these. Also, a consultant will complete sanitation rounds once monthly and attend the weekly weight and wound meeting. Also, consultants may be asked to complete an in-service to dietary staff or the facility staff. A consultant RD also will complete meal rounds. Food service. Every dietitian in long-term care should be familiar with food service. The first thing that I want to mention are the menus. Dietitians are responsible for making sure that the menus are nutritionally sound and that they contain the correct amounts of fruits, vegetables, dairy, protein, etc. So make sure that you scan the menu and look at the nutrition breakdowns to ensure that they are accurate. Each menu should be signed by the RD to verify that he or she has looked at it. Also, the RD should be aware of the food supply so that he or she can determine that the menu is being followed. If residents are complaining that the menu is being changed a lot, be sure to investigate and speak to the food service director or the administrator about it. Residents get very discouraged if the menu is not followed. Another part of food service is monitoring the temperatures and making sure that the hot food is hot and the cold food is cold. In many facilities, the cook or diet aide will take the temperatures of the food, dish machine, and the refrigerators on a daily basis. If there are complaints that the food is cold, you may want to do a test tray. You ask for a tray to be sent to a particular unit. Then you hold the tray until the last person on that unit receives their tray, and then you take the temperatures of the items on the tray. If they aren't hot, per facility guidelines, you may want to see what is causing the food to be cold. Is it taking too long for the trays to be passed, or is the kitchen having trouble getting the meal out? Troubleshooting is a good way to assess this situation. You want to make sure that sanitation rounds are done at least monthly. Many have a specific form to fill out. However, I often check things out when I'm in the kitchen getting something. For example, if I see that the can opener is dirty or the temperature sheets haven't been filled out, I let the cook know immediately. The more eyes that look at the kitchen, the less chance of a violation during a state survey. Weight monitoring tips. Keep your own weight sheets. They are also in the computer or on the units. If you are completing the MDS, having your weight sheets handy helps so that you don't have to run to look for the most recent weight. Include weights from 30, 90, and 180 days ago if you're making your own weight sheets. Also, have a tracking system for weekly weights so that you can get a better picture of a person's status at your fingertips. Of course, many places now have weights computerized, and this makes monitoring the weights much easier. Facilities should have someone to complete a weekly weight report. Oftentimes it's the CDM in a building with a consultant or the RD in a building with an on-staff dietitian. Any resident with a significant weight loss or gain should be on the weekly sheet with a special notation for those with unplanned weight loss. This sheet should be taken to the weight and wound meeting for discussion. Additional weight monitoring tips. Start monitoring a resident weekly if they've had a 3% loss in 30 days, 5% in 90 days, or 7% in 180 days. Also, monitor weekly weights on those with an infection or a dental issue, and continue weekly weights until the issue is resolved. The reason that I'm suggesting this is so that we can catch weight losses before they become significant. Chart on dialysis residents or those with wounds monthly unless more frequent monitoring is needed. Chart on those with weight loss weekly until stable. If you would like information on the state survey, please view my video, Long-Term Care RD and the State Survey. To be a successful RD in long-term care, be organized, think outside of the box. Remember, every problem may have more than one solution, but your goal is to find the best solution for that individual. Finally, if you are thinking about a career as a consultant instead of a staff RD, consider your lifestyle. For example, if you need benefits, then you may want to apply for jobs as a staff RD. Or if you're looking for increased flexibility, you might want to choose consultant jobs. Either way, remember the tips discussed here today to better promote nutrition and quality of care to those you treat.